What is happening in Austin Men's Development? Today we're going to be talking about finding a good lawyer in a divorce and custody case. And this is crazy, and this is something that you need to know how to do, and you probably don't have much experience in it. Sadly, I have more than enough experience in it, and it's tough even for me to be able to determine. But if you live in Austin, I can recommend some good guys that will really, they'll give you their best. But this question came to me actually from a lawyer recommendation in Austin, and they said, man, why is his retainer so high? I can't afford him. And I said, look, man, let's take a step back. Now, number one, we got to determine, and I want you to think about this right now, if this is you, we got to determine, number one, do you need a lawyer? Most likely you do. Most likely you do, but you need to understand that there are certain things that you might be able to do by yourself. There might be able to do things where you may need a lawyer to go in front of the judge or to file paperwork, but you could do like 80 to 90% of the organization behind the scenes stuff, cutting down your legal fees. And then there's times where just don't even touch that stuff. Your case is so red hot, things like a protective order, or you have false abuse claims that are starting to get entertained. That's where you just, in my opinion, have to have a lawyer. And it's really interesting because this is this whole dynamic that we have here as men, and we don't talk about it. So that's what we're going to talk about here. Step one is, if you have not downloaded my PDF on the Single Dad's Guide to Divorce and Custody, you got to do it, because, man, it's going to make everything make a lot more sense and give you the purpose and meaning behind all the stuff that we do. All right, so let's get to that video. So in this particular case, we have a gentleman who can't afford a high dollar lawyer. And this is super important. And in his case, I'm glad he talked to me, and I'm glad we're working on this. And it may not end up being this way, but from what I can tell now, and of course, obviously, I am not an attorney. It's just we coach men through this, and I'll tell you the importance of all of that here in just a moment, because it's really vitally important. But he doesn't have a case that has criminal implications or implications where he may never get to see his kids. He is trying to navigate himself in a divorce and a custody hearing, and he doesn't really know what to do, and it's intimidating. I mean, to many, it seems like you're going to lose your kids forever. To many, it seems like you're getting blamed and your reputation's being ruined and so on. And you got to realize that there's certain things in divorce and child custody, and this is different from county to county, right? So even within Texas, from Travis County and Williamson County, the laws are going to be different. Those are basically like two neighboring counties. Austin is in one, and Round Rock and Georgetown are another. So those are really close, right? Geographically, they're a stone's throw away, but the laws can be tremendously different. So you do need to do your due diligence on this. But one of the things that's happening in his case is that he could actually afford at this point to hire a lawyer under very specific circumstances. So one, that lawyer can do all the filing, can make sure that he's making all the correct, filling out all the correct paperwork, he's doing everything right. And if there is communication through a judge or certain mediators, that lawyer can be there to oversee it or double check everything. Now, in his case, he can actually do a lot of the work himself, and that's really important. And now, in order to understand how to do that, you need to be around men who have done that before, and that's the importance of a men's group. This is something that's very interesting. I spend a lot of time talking to it because, I run a men's group, and mine isn't the only one. There's other ones out there, but there's also a lot of bad ones too. The thing is why you want a support team and a support system, a network of people ready and available to help you who've been there and done that, is because in therapy, which is something which is really important, you're under a high stress situation, going through things that you've never gone through before, perhaps betrayal that you've never dealt with before. It's a total crashing or changing of your life. You might need a therapist, but that therapist is going to help you on the healing path, is going to help you on seeing a better perspective, is on helping you cope with certain things. But they're not going to be there, after a shitty day in court, or they're not going to be there when your ex yells at you and you have to fight back in the right strategic ways. An attorney, on the other hand, is perfect for the fighting part in a courtroom, is perfect for being, perhaps maniacal in some ways and being really aggressive in others, which a therapist may not entertain, but they can't help you in your day-to-day life. It's so important to have a team there to help you navigate through this. And so going through those sorts of custody battles, just imperative. Definitely look into it. Check out Men's Development Excellence. You can tag me on the Austin Men's Development Group and ask different questions and see how it can help you. But that being said, for that big plug, which I could never get away from, but the thing is that, man, in deciding what is going to be right for your attorney, you got to look at a couple things. Now, is that attorney somebody that is experienced? Have they done this for 10, 15, maybe 20 years? Or are they new and 3 years in the game? These are determining factors. Is that person going to be a salesman for you, and tell you everything that you want to hear? Are they going to emotionally plug you? Are they going to sit there and say, they're a father's rights attorney that's going to fight for your rights and all those things? Usually you should stay away from those guys. They're not, they're too much of that salesman. Are they somebody that is going to be able to continue throughout the process? Because a lot of attorneys are really great up front, but they get lazy towards the end, meaning this is the worst. This is the worst. And a good lawyer doesn't always mean an expensive lawyer, because an expensive lawyer can be a bad lawyer, but it's almost always that if you have a case that demands a lot of legal help and stuff that you don't know how to navigate around, and you don't have a support system like us here, helping you out and helping guide you if you can't afford to have your attorney all the time, a cheap attorney is almost guaranteed that when push comes to shove, when they have to fill out extra paperwork, man, they're going to drop the ball on you, and it is just going to be catastrophic, because you're going to be there. It's everything's coming to a head. She's fighting back with her attorney. The judges are swaying these ways, or the mediators are swaying these ways, and you need your lawyer to be there for you, at the last minute, and they won't. It's just that simple. Those lawyers that are just getting started out in their careers, God bless them, and they should be working their ass off. But there's a reason why 10-year lawyers, 15-year lawyers, 20-year lawyers are so much better, is because they know how to pace themselves. They're not overworked all the time. They're not killing themselves in these different ways. And sometimes those lawyers that are taking the cheaper prices are just overworked, and they're over it, So you really want to be careful with that. Now, if we take anything away from this, here's the deal. You have more than just two options when you come into a divorce child custody case. Option number one that everybody assumes is you have to have an attorney, and you just pay out the butt for it, and it's crazy. And that's something that I've done, something that many people I know have done. I know many people that have done that and had success, and I know even more who have done that and just not gotten what they wanted. Or the other option is that everybody thinks is you got to do it by yourself. There's usually that middle ground, and the recommendation that the gentleman got today was that you could actually do a lot of the stuff yourself, and you can get a lawyer specifically to look over and check your paperwork. You can hire a lawyer to go in front of a judge and represent in certain ways while you do most of the work yourself. And so these are all important things to take into consideration. And again, if you want to learn how to do that and get started, I would actually say check out Men's Development Excellence right now. And if it's something that you're serious about, the entry fee for that is more than worth correcting and solving a lot of the mistakes that you could make legally if you go in there blind. But also the Single Dad's Guide to Divorce, it's free. You can download it right now. If it's something that you don't want to be on an email list for, you can just opt out right away, and it'll do you some good to read that PDF and get to know where you're going. In any case, guys, we answer questions like this and field these all day long on our calls, and we have over 35 hours of calls a week where you can plug into in order to be a member of our group. We say you just need to be on 90 minutes of being active on those. We have Facebook groups that are 24/7, Discord as well, that are support systems of guys all around the world who've walked your walk and not only gotten past the whole divorce child custody process, but built a great life afterwards. And that is something that is imperative for you as a man. You don't want your life to stop here. You want it to continue and be good, and it can, and it will, if you put in the right work. So that's that is what we're here for. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon, and you guys have a great night.